Here we go. It says we have an excellent connection.
I hope so. There it is. So, there you are.
I have arrived.
Pop out the chat here.
Pop out. Here we go. See, a few people have shown up. Hey everybody. Welcome to our live show. How are you all doing this week? Hey Tasma. I don't recall that name. Of course, I don't remember everybody, but hello and welcome. Welcome to the live show.
Just looking at your face color, it's a little off, but it's pretty close. It doesn't look as good on this one as it looks on yours.
I see. So who knows what it looks like anyone else's.
True.
It's all a mystery as to how things end up everywhere they go. Anybody else going to say hi? I see that there's more than one of you out there.
Keep typing lenses.
Thank you. I hope you're both well. Yes. Well, actually, one of my clients apparently got COVID, and I saw her Friday morning, so we're waiting to see if I caught it or not. So fingers crossed. This will be the second time a client in my office has seen me just before they found out that they had it. I wish it would go the other way around, you know, like find out that they had it and then decide not to come in to see me, but hey, you know, that is the way it is. And depending on where you are, tonight is a new moon and maybe a meteor shower that's supposed to be perhaps spectacular, perhaps not. You know how they are. They never know for sure. Here we won't see one because we're back in the rain, so like yeah.
Yeah, this
Fingers crossed, yes.
This image I'm getting really doesn't look as good as the one on yours. Makes me curious.
Yeah, well.
It shouldn't be the monitor adjustment, so I guess this is after processing it and getting it fed back down.
I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
Oh,
Violet says, hi guys, I see the Tree of Life overview, Ian. Well done. I'm not finished yet, but gas it thumbs already. Oh, gave it thumbs. Sorry about the stupid, awful COVID. Gosh, well, don't know if I have it or not. The last time this happened, I didn't catch it from my client. We are still wearing masks in my office, so... yes. So, we're hoping. I figure there's no point in testing myself too early since it was just Friday if I was exposed. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow and see what happens. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
yeah, and there's so much more to it, but I decided to keep this basic because we'll do these as a thing, you know, stuff you need to know, basic stuff to follow Crowley a little bit, and it's easy to look up. This stuff is pretty common, so you can look up the colors on the paths and things pretty easily. You just need to be aware that you need to know that information.
Jennifer S., good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. Hi, Jennifer S., welcome. Violet says you have a new background. Cool. Yeah, this is our southern altar you're seeing back here. So we're like opposite in our temple from the place we've been sitting all along, which is the north. So this is our south, and these columns here on either side, I made those. They're PVC, and I painted them to look like lapis columns. And then my friend, my friend Shay actually gave us the coverings, or the little containers that go in it that fit the PVC pipe, and they got little dragons on them, which is just way cool.
And we can fill them with Epsom salts and a little bit of
alcohol.
and light them on fire and
And
get a
do
nice
they ever
flaming
warm a
column.
place up? Oh my.
Yes, they do. They're almost too hot to use indoors.
Yes. So Ruth says hi all. Hi Ruth, welcome. And Tasma says, so same room, different perspective. Beautiful curtains. Thank you. Well, just sort of basic. Something to cover up the windows to keep our neighbors from looking in on us. We really don't need them to know what we're doing.
Keep the light from glaring.
Yeah, that too.
For the video, mostly.
Yep, that too. So, but yeah, so it's, I mean, the room is a pretty large room. It's about 10 by 20, I'd say. Something like that. Maybe more than 10 feet wide. Maybe it's 15 by 20.
I don't think so.
We'd have to measure it again. But yeah. So it's nice to have enough space. We actually could fit 10 or so people in here when we were doing rituals, when we had a group that we were working with. And that was about the maximum number of people we could fit in the room. But Dasma says, oh, yeah. Violet says, tell me once more how you make those burn. Alcohol something? And salt.
You put Epsom salts in it to absorb the alcohol, and it keeps it, and it makes a nice base so it doesn't burn through the metal and stuff, and then
pour the alcohol
on it and
right.
light it.
And get the high concentrated alcohol, like 91% or so, something like that. And depending on what kind of a container you put it in, with our cauldron, my small cauldron, I have a lid, so you can make sure things stop very quickly by sticking a lid on it and cutting off the oxygen supply. So Erin Jones says, hello, sorry I'm late. Well, you're here, yay. You're not too late, we just got started. Lulu says, hi, I had an interesting week, can't wait to share. Awesome, we always like interesting weeks. I did some experimenting this week with some of my crystals to try and look at them, and I discovered something quite bizarre. I have a small piece of peacock ore, and it's just a little piece. And when I looked at its aura was like that big. It was like, yeah, it was, all the other stones are closer to the stone, but this thing was just this big, huge matrix kind of energy thing with lots of lines and stuff in it. So it was pretty interesting. Didn't seem to have a specific color, that one, I don't think. No, wait. No, yeah, it was the small greenstone that was green. I think it was more of a deep purple blue kind of color when I looked at that one. Like the lapis was a definite deep blue. And then the cryopraise or whatever it is was a green, sort of an emerald green energy field. So that was interesting. And Ian saw my hair do something interesting this week. When I was brushing my hair, apparently I made sparkles.
Yes, you did. I
haven't seen that, but hey.
Well, that's the first time I've seen it. Just energy like that.
That's pretty awesome.
Wish I could do it at will, on demand would be nice. But...
Oh, yeah, it would be. And he got visited by the Mercury being as well. He came in and had a little minor chat. So he got to see it like I did, and that was actually kind of fun. Because he came running out and says, I saw it, and it's just like you described.
Well, yeah, the strange thing was, I guess I should have expected it from Mercury, but its shape is constantly shifting. Different, like human shapes and human faces. Started out as a female, and then it started shifting. And not all the shapes were human either. It's just constantly shifting, which was very interesting and odd to see, because I've never seen that happen.
Now when I look at you, they get to see my wonderful profile, because you're all the way over there. So Lul says, 1, got my first tarot deck. Awesome. 2, set up Venus altar. Turned out I already had most of the things I needed for that. Another awesome. And 3, went to a local thrift store and found Goddess Isis figurine. Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome. I love Isis. She's one of my favorites. And there's more to come, because there's God and over something or other. Overwhelming. I have to wait for it to come through so I know what she says instead of guessing. I heard back from the woman who had the friend with the potential possession case, and she said that her friend doesn't want any help, so we have nowhere to go. And had an odd interaction with someone that I only know on Facebook who said that they took care of it and that she should be feeling better. And I don't know how that works since I don't even know who the woman is. So that kind of gave me pause for a while. And apparently it didn't work because the woman is still going completely nuts and now kicked everybody out. So feeling she wants to come home. And when we came out of the store, pure joy came over me. I guess she wanted to come home with me after all. Yes.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. I have rescued any number of magical things from Goodwill and hospice and the Salvation Army and
Like that Buddha right over there.
well, I didn't rescue him from the Salvation Army or any of the thrift stores. We rescued him from an actual secondhand store, I guess it would be. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting experience getting him out of there. But yes, isn't it wonderful when you get those overwhelming sensations and stuff and you know that you're doing the right thing? And that's why we do this, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah. It's really nice when something like that goes right and you go, yeah, I guess this is not all, ridiculous. Whatever. It's
So,
just good to get reassurance sometimes.
yeah. Violet says, I have drawn a round Viking symbol with Sharpie on the back of a rabbit pelt, and I envision the symbol as protection running down the rabbit hole. How can I transfer this symbol to me for protection? Odd question, but I stare and stare at it. You could wear it for when you go down the rabbit hole. Visualize it on all the planes. Draw it on a piece of paper instead of a rabbit skin. Engrave a piece of metal with it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it almost, you could always put it on a talisman of some sort, like a metal symbol, and engrave it on there or something like that, metal circle.
Yeah, you can get those pieces, round metal discs at craft stores and hardware stores sometimes. Didn't we get some from the hardware store here locally?
No, the only place that had them was a craft store back when it used to be in existence.
Oh,
way back
that's
when.
right. The one that's not there
But
anymore.
since that, we get thin sheet metal from the hardware store
And then
that's used for
cut it.
airplane use and stuff, and it makes perfect to use a pair of tin snips and cut it out.
Right. So we had to make our own round thingies. Violet says, I transferred it from paper. Thank you for your thoughts. It helped. Well, I mean, what fits right, what works for you, and stuff like that is what's important when it comes to symbolic protection and charging things up. So it's really an individual thing. I think I'm going to plan on cutting our rhododendron, trimming it today or tomorrow for the new moon, and harvest a section of it that's now trying to grow through our cherry tree since it needs to be pruned. Seems like new moon is a good time to do that. I'm not sure why, but it does.
Well, hey, let's figure out what we're going to put up Rhodey too.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's why I gotta trim it though, now that I can see exactly where it is.
How long do you think we've had it there now?
Oh, that was one that you picked.
15 years or something?
20, 25 maybe. It was one of the first plants we bought.
Yeah, it was a
And
little
put
tiny
in.
one, and
Yep.
then it grew, and it's still growing.
So Lulu says her husband was there too. I picked him up, held him, but then put him back down. No feeling came that he absolutely had to come with me. Perhaps he is waiting for someone else. Maybe so. So that would be Osiris. That would be her husband, Isis, we're talking about, right? Jacqueline says, yay, I made it. Hi, Jacqueline. So lovely to see you on our live show. Violet says, are your new neighbors okay? So far, both, we have new neighbors on both sides, and so far they seem to be okay. We're not having any difficulty with them. They seem to have pretty good energy.
They're a lot less obnoxious than the previous neighbors so far, so yay to that.
Yeah.
Get out there 10 o'clock at night, drunk.
Well, that was after 11 one
running
night.
A chainsaw?
Yeah, he was in his backyard drinking with a chainsaw after 11 o'clock.
And he had no lights. He was using the chainsaw
In
by
the
the
dark.
light of a campfire, basically. He started a little fire out there, and that's what he was using to cut wood in the dark with the chainsaw when he was so drunk.
And
Sorry.
Ian went out there and says, it's after 11, or it's almost midnight or something. You need to stop. I'm trying to sleep. And he looked at his clock. He says, no, it's not. It was like a minute or two off.
It was like a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
A minute or two, yeah.
Regardless, you need to stop doing this. We really don't need to call an ambulance because you cut off your arm accidentally. I mean, come on. But yeah, he was not a fun neighbor. And he had a hard time with the ladies. We saw more relationships come and go when he was living next to us.
Short time periods,
And
yes.
yes, all of a sudden, new furniture would come in, and then 6 months later, the furniture would go out. And then another lady would come in, and more new furniture would go in. It was like, wow. Okay.
All right.
So,
Back to magical subjects.
so Jacqueline says, planting the gardens while I listen. I liked that garden you posted the picture of, the spiral herb garden. That's kind of with the rocks and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. What herbs do you have in that garden, if you don't mind telling us when you get that message? Let us know, because it's always good to know what everybody's growing. But yeah, so yeah, we're just waiting to find out what's going on with us.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do some more Mercury evocation since we're all set up to do that now. I haven't decided yet on another one, but probably should just do it just for the practice, if nothing else. But hopefully I can find one that will help with some things like protecting our property or something, though. Being from the zone girdling the earth would probably be better for that.
Oh, and I'm starting to make us some new robes. I decided Ian's robe is getting kind of needing repair too much.
It was literally holy.
Yeah, it was very holy. And so I ordered some silk, which came, and I believe that I'm going to need more silk than I ordered. I'm going to have to order some more. But it came quicker than we expected. It came all the way from India. And it's a somewhat thicker silk than what we use for our original robes, but it's also going to be a purple color. And I picked up some silk thread at Joann Fabrics the other day when I went in there. So Jackie says, thanks, sage, basil, thyme, rosemary, 3 kinds of lavender, wormwood, lamb's ear, salvia, marjoram. Cool. Awesome. Mixed Diva says, hello all, filming in a different location today, I see. Well, just a different angle from the room we are always in. This would be our south.
So what do y'all want to hear about today?
Yeah. What kind of things can we talk about? So you can see all the fiery stuff back here. Actually, can you get him down?
Sure.
I found this mask, and he said Thor to me. And so I painted him up. And so that is what he looks like. So he is kind of like, you know, a god in our south. So he's kind of cute. I liked the colors I came up with. And it's just a basic wooden mask. But, you know, masks are a good thing to use for protection and stuff like that. So, so Lulu says, I was very surprised about Isis because I have no genetic links to Egypt as far as I know, but now I'm reading on her and it totally makes sense with my personality. Cool. So Temple Tarot says, I would love to hear about connecting with deities. So, well, Lulu is starting that process. She got a statue, two statues, one of Aphrodite, Venus, and one of Isis. And so when you're trying to connect with a deity, reading on their myths and reading about them, getting an image of them, either something you can print out and hang up, or a statue that you can paint in the right colors. Like I guess my matron, if that's what they call it, one of my personal deities is Aurora, and I used a statue of an angel that I had and painted her in the colors of Aurora, did research on what she looked like and so forth, and then named her that. So you can use anything as a representation if it's something that is associated with that deity, and that allows you to start getting entrance into the realm that they inhabit. It's sort of like a calling card and a knock on the door, invitation, and
Yeah,
that sort of thing, and a way to focus and
in
concentrate.
India, they take great pains to make sure that, the ones who know what they're doing take pains to make sure that they treat their statues as if it was a living being, because that helps the deity manifest that much better in it.
So Hayden says, how did you get into YouTube? I just thought one day in March of 2019, I think it was, and I just thought, you know what? Everyone keeps telling me I should write a book, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that, and I'm a storyteller, and I have no students right now, and everybody in town seems to be gone insane, and I don't want to have anything to do with them anyway. And I just thought I'd start making videos about some of my experiences and what I've learned and so forth to share with other people. And we started that off and just launched it, and then I've been doing pretty consistently about a video a week or so, and it just sort of has evolved from there. We didn't do marketing strategies or PR campaigns or anything like that. It's just sort of organically gotten to the point where it's at right now, and that's the way I like things. I don't like doing things the way everyone else does it, and I want to stay genuine and authentic to who I am, and so that's what you get. So that's how we got into it. So Mixed Diva says, any face stories as of late? I did see one the other day, but nothing significant happened. It was the male one showed up, and but I was playing with crystals. That's what I was doing this week, apparently, was looking at the auras of crystals and trying to figure them out. And I was pretty excited about that giant aura around that tiny little peacock ore. It's like, man, that was a surprise.
Well, it's like seeing a surprise when seeing you brush your hair, because I never expected, not only was she brushing little streaks of energy in her hair, I could see an energy field around her hand and arm, and it almost, at the moment, looked to me like one of those topographical maps with the lines. Was how I kind of visualized it, almost like a distortion in the air, like a heat wave, but with like lines, like the
fine lines,
thing.
like really fine lines. It's sort of like a black and white almost
it
kind
was
of
very
thing.
interesting. It was well, for me it was a transparent, and yet I could see it, so
right.
I don't know.
And that's how it appears to me too. When I was looking at that piece of peacock ore, it's like it had this really big matrix of little lines going around it that were quite clear. So that was pretty interesting.
Well, that surprised me, because I hadn't seen in that fashion before, so that was a first.
Yeah. So Temple Tarot says, ooh, I love masks. I use them. Awesome. And Mixed Diva says, oh, wow, cool. I'm sure that Thor really enjoys that. Tasma says, what's the best way to manifest your dreams? Focus on the steps that you need to take in order to make them real. I mean, not all dreams are going to be able to be manifest. So if you have a dream of being like a world-renowned ballet dancer and you don't know how to dance, then, you're kind of stuck. So acquiring the skills that you need in order to make it a reality, it takes a while to manifest things down here on the physical plane. So like if you're looking for a job and you never put out a resume or don't actually go looking for a job, it's very difficult to manifest, although some people manage to do it on occasion. So yeah, focus. Some people make like storyboards and stuff like that to help them focus, like, you know, cutting out pictures and things and putting it on
I realized that was on camera.
a board and that kind of thing. So Angela says, hello everyone, and oh, that angel statue back there is pretty. Yes, that's Victory. Yeah, this is Victory.
Nice.
She's a version of Victory at any rate. And I think I found her at Ross's or something. She kind of looks like one of those kind of things that they have at Ross's, and so yeah, I quite enjoy finding these little items that just sort of decorate the place. And
got some wax
it
on her.
gives, yeah, I just broke a piece of wax off. It's now on the floor.
She's a candle holder.
She is a
That's
candle
what that
holder.
little plate is about. Yeah. All right,
And then
cool.
there is, where's that little one here? My daughter bought me another Victory, which is also a candle holder. And she's like a brass metal kind of thing. She's little, so you can see, and she's holding up her arms above her head and whatnot. And then she has these little spots on here for putting some candles in. And this particular energy makes me think of fire. It's just, you know, it has that kind of energetic aspect to it. I'll put you right there right now because I'm going to spasm if I turn around like that too much. But yeah, and then Garuda, of course, is sitting behind me as well because this is his corner. So Angela says, I use porcelain dolls as statues for my matrons that are specially picked out for them. And that would work. We have a Bridget doll that we made one year. I found the doll itself at, you know, Goodwill or something. And then I handmade the gown. I dressed her in green and decorated the dress and everything else like that in order to bring that energy in when we were doing one of our rituals for a couple of years, actually. We used her for that. So yeah, anything that can work. I mean, even a stone can work, and you can decorate a stone and put a symbol on the stone and so forth.
Yeah.
Hayden says, that's awesome. I would like to see a healing demonstration because I get tingles when I watch you do healing. Well, I did. I want to talk about that on a video, more specifically how to do distance healing and stuff. And I do have that healing demonstration that I did on my granddaughter. Yeah. So I did a distance healing on somebody who asked me for it a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that works best for me is to have the person know that's what I'm doing and have them there and receptive and meditating so that they can feel the energy of what's going on, and then I know exactly where they are, kind of thing on the planet. I never have gotten into that, you know, I'm sending you healing thoughts and prayers kind of thing. I see it happen all the time online where someone says, my grandmother's in the hospital, please send her energy. And I'm like, who's your grandmother? What's her name? What hospital is she in? You know, I need specifics in order to focus my healing energy to do the most good.
Really, to be effective, pretty much anybody should need specifics unless they can actually advance enough to go in the Akasha and look it up. And that's not many people.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, if you go into the Akasha and say, so-and-so's grandmother is sick, where is she? Theoretically, you could find them, but it seems like it's a lot of effort. And if I know where they are, it's a lot easier.
Easiest solution.
So Violet says, does peacock mean something special you can share? Peacock is water to me. It's like the bird of water. And I've always been attracted to peacocks over the years. I don't know how many feathers I've had. And I know in some cultures, peacock feathers are considered unlucky and you're not supposed to keep them in your house, which, you know, people think whatever they want. But in India, the peacock is like a very important bird because it can consume poisonous material with no harm to itself. And so that means that it has that kind of power and ability to protect its person, I guess. Whoever it's around, protecting them from damaging poisonous food or items or people even maybe. And then, of course, Argus is the deity that became the eyes of the peacock, and Argus was one of the ones that I met. This one
I'm
here.
afraid you missed. Yeah.
Oh, I talked about manifesting your
Oh,
dreams.
did you talk about the story of Maka?
I didn't see the story of Maka.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So just
Yes, and I think that I actually talked about that on video. She's one of the Celtic deities, right? Peacock ore is cool. Yes, it is. Thank you. I will work on it, says Tasma.
manifesting dreams.
Cool.
Hi, Shay.
Hey, Shay. Thank you very much. And love the new south-facing backdrop? Yes.
By the way, Shay is the one who
Gave us
these the tops for these columns.
Yep. Shay is the one who gave us the tops. Those, yes. I can see your hand in there.
Yeah.
Jumping on top of it. Angela says victory is beautiful. And I actually have a version of her now in my personal altar in my room. I found a statue of winged victory with, that's without the head and stuff that I guess was a front of a ship or something that they think. I think it was like, the thing that they put on the front of a ship, whatever that's called.
I don't recall.
Yeah. Jacqueline says that is how the entity near the spiral looks, transparent but still there. Yes. And I think that's happening more and more when I see them in my room and stuff like that. When they appear to me, it's almost like a super fine drawing, like a pencil drawing where there's extreme amount of detail, but it's see-through. And so when I see faces, I see all the different lines and stuff on their face and their hair and everything like that, which is way cool. So Angela says, I love little things like that. That's why I love thrift stores. Yeah, sometimes. So Mixed Diva says, how was the sushi last week? It was good. The sushi was wonderful. They have shortened or made smaller the sushi that they serve.
Sliced it thinner.
Yeah, it used to be like a slice was like, almost like a half an inch, and now it's about like an eighth of an inch or so. So that was disappointing, but But we did go out into a restaurant, and so that was a step.
Yeah, it was the first time in quite some time.
Over 2 years. Yeah. So yeah. Angela says that peacock is a symbol of Hera, and its feathers are said to contain the eyes of her watchful servant Argus. I consider them protective. I do too. Hayden says, what do you think about how magic is portrayed in movies and shows like Doctor Strange?
Well, Doctor Strange is outstanding. We love Doctor Strange. I mean, regardless of whether it's accurate or not, Doctor Strange is great.
And, I had him help me with some of his special kind of magic, putting up the shield of the seraphim and keeping something from getting to me during a long distance healing I was doing.
Yeah, he existed out there from the comic books as a thought former.
I think his stuff, as far as magical stuff, is more accurate in the sense that he has sigils and charged items and objects and things like that, and astral projects and goes into different dimensions.
It is more realistic.
It's more realistic in what we were trying to do and how we study and learn, and it's very knowledge-based stuff that he does. It's not like I can just do this seat of my pants kind of thing so much. And I loved that first movie when, she pushed his astral form out of his body and shut him the hell up. It was just like, wow! We thought that was awesome.
So it's got great underpinnings.
And the meditations, and I mean, it's like it shows that it takes work. Even if you're a natural, there's a certain level of knowledge and work and experience that you have to have in order to hone your skills, which a lot of the TV shows really don't show. It's like most of them are like, this is just the way you are, you know how to do all this stuff, and you can do like outrageous things like stop time or
Well, of course, the magic has to be a little bit unrealistic, or the character wouldn't be nearly as much fun.
Well, this is true. Very, very true.
But still, I agree. It's got more of an underpinning, and I always like that about the comics. The comics are actually even better I have to say so, at least some of the issues for underpinnings and things like that, and dealing with things like, there's one issue where he gets this, I forget why, he gets a super ego, and he's God all of a sudden, and yet, but he can't remember his Doctor Strange personality at all, so.
Oh, Angela adds that they also resemble the Eye of Ra, and they undoubtedly do. Violet says, way cool about Peacock. Yay, Angela. Hi. And Angela says, hi, Violet, hugs. Mixed Diva says, yes, Maca is a Celtic deity who shared a similar story with another deity. I have seen a lot of videos pop up for me online lately about Maca very randomly. Oh no, not the tiny sushi. Yeah, it was the tiny sushi. But yeah, Maca was one of the, when I read her story, I mean, she's a very in-your-face kind of non-apologetic type of goddess, and a lot of the Celtic deities are like that, both the male and the female, which is one of the things that was sort of refreshing. It's not like sanitized kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. Angela says, I feel the same when Olive Garden took over half their menu away, and I was almost in tears because all my favorites were poof gone. Violet says, I saw Doctor Strange last week. Super fun. Don't tell us anything about it. We haven't seen it yet.
Most of the other things are, yeah, it's kind of, a lot of the magical stuff is still kind of flaky, but at least they're getting a little bit more input. You can see the input of actual witches and pagans in some of these things now, so it's getting a lot better than it used to be. Really used to be really bad if you look back at some of the stuff, and like the one that, what's his name, the puppet guy had to deal with was Hocus Pocus or something.
Was that awful. Jessica Jones?
No.
Oh, that was a different
totally
puppet master. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about her, and the guy who played that was made every people do whatever he wanted to. Never mind. All right, so Hayden says, is there a way to use magic to find love or friendship? Yes, use it to fix yourself. Become a quality individual that people will want to get to know. That would be the best use of magic for that.
That's true. I kind of like the way that's phrased, though. Using it to find love.
Right.
And rather than as like love spells, in which you're trying to make somebody love you and they don't want to, and that kind of a fight against somebody's will can only succeed for a very short time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when you get yourself together and align yourself, then you're going to be naturally following the right path that will lead you to better relationships with people. And so finding things you're passionate about, I mean, that's the best way to meet somebody. Like when Ian and I met at a pagan potluck, at least we knew we had that in common. Something important, that we were both at a pagan potluck, so, you know. But yeah, it's knowing what it is, too, that's important to you. If you're really looking for a love relationship, it's kind of vital to sort of do that self-awareness kind of a thing, you know, and what are things that are deal breakers, because that will save you a lot of trouble down the road. Yeah, if you know that somebody who thinks this way is not someone I want to have anything to do with, and then they open their mouth and say exactly what it is that you've said you're not interested in, don't look past it and think, but there's all these other things about them that I like.
And a lot of times people think they can just make the person change, and that's also another bad approach to take. Anytime you're pitting your will against another person's to make them be what you want, there's a problem there that's not going to work out long term.
Well, the more personal clarity you have, the more likely you are to see the other person as who they actually are instead of who you would like them to be. And if you're attracted to someone because you think they're who you believe that they are the thing you're looking for, and that's what you're seeing, then you're not really seeing them. And then the pitfalls are just waiting in the wings to come out, because eventually the attempts to hide that true nature or true self fall apart after a period of time, and then it becomes a big shock and surprise. Ah, Jacqueline, you are so awesome to us. I so appreciate your wisdom, honesty, and friendship. Love you guys. Thank you so much. So, Angela says you should listen to the Babel Brook Asmer series on the Goodnight Moon channel. She has 2 witch characters featured that I think are portrayed quite well. Jennifer says, I saw a video calling for magic users to do magic for healing the world. Would this be effective without a specific target or goal? Okay, so yes and no. I mean, it can help.
Yeah, it'll add to the general pool of positive energy. So it will help in that fashion, but you'll have no way to
focus and concentrate for a specific thing.
How it actually manifests.
Yeah, you're just trying to put it out there, which is what the Amethyst Crystal Web Project is all about, is, focusing on charging up all the amethysts around the planet and putting in that energetic sort of note of love, peace, harmony, healing, that kind of thing, and have it be available for other people to access if they feel ready to do it. Because really, when it comes down to it, we cannot tell, for sure what is the most important thing to happen. I mean, a terrible thing that happens could be an important lesson that a culture needs to learn, or something like that. It's like one person's idea of peace and healing is not going to be the same as another's, and so forth. So that's why I like to work with individuals. I mean, we do have our earth ball that we made, and when we charge it up, we sort of put it into the planet for the earth to decide where it needs to go, and to use it for healing, to inspire people, whatever it might be. And that way it sort of frees it up too, because sometimes too much focus and concentration can, too narrow a beam can kind of make things not do something they might be able to do.
Yeah, you don't want to put things too specifically and bracket it right in.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to limit what you're trying to accomplish.
So Ian already said goodbye to Lulu, or Lul. And so, yeah, we'll see you later in the rewrite, or the recording thing. So Hayden says, how is magic used in everyday life?
You can give some good examples of that.
Well, for one thing, magic is not something you just do. Magic is something you are. And so if you start to think of it as just a way of being, a way of existing in the world, a way of attending to the energies that are around you, of paying attention to that kind of stuff, it's easier to understand how magic is all the time, and you use it all the time, sometimes without even knowing, what you would consider magic. So, like, I use my abilities when I'm driving down the road. I mean, all the time. I'm reading everybody's mind. I'm trying to pay attention to traffic patterns. I'm getting an idea for how my community is feeling when I leave the house, and some days I'll leave and everybody's feeling very friendly and happy and everything's all relaxed, so I can relax a little bit, and other days everybody's like, we got to get there, we got to get there, and I'm on more alert. So it's not like a spell, it's just an awareness.
Well, and all those things have developed. That awareness and stuff is developed through your magical workings and things.
Right.
So you don't have to do them at this point.
They just are you.
Yeah.
It's like, you've tapped in and often enough to the cosmos, to the moon energies and cycles, to, paying attention to the spirits that might be near you, developing your clairvoyant ability and so forth. I mean, the goal, in my opinion, in becoming a part of this path is not to become like the guys in the comic books and the TV shows and gain those kinds of powers and stuff like that. It's to become a better version of you. And
then those things will happen on their own.
Right. If you're doing the work and working on yourself, then you're taking away the blockages that stop you from being able to use extrasensory abilities. Because there's a lot of things that sort of block us from being able to access that. Disbelief, anger, impatience, lack of confidence. I mean, there's plenty of potential roadblocks that we can put in our own way that will keep us from being able to see the reality of what's going on. And then there's the flip side, where if we get too immersed in it and we don't do the balancing part of the work, then we can think that we have become a god or a goddess, that we're in charge of the whole planet. Everyone has to do what we have to say. what we say they have to do, and then fall into a delusional story that we've created in our own mind, and then get lost because we're disconnected from the stream of humanity. And so it's a balancing act. I mean, it really is. A magic path is about balance, balancing yourself and your life, and deciding what's important. And then figuring out when something's not working, whether it's a message from the universe that says this is a bad idea, whether it's a test from the universe that says we're not sure if you're serious or not, or something that has nothing to do with you at all and just random chance. That's the tricky part. But yeah, I mean, when I work on my clients in my office, I often, use my second sight and see stuff around their bodies. I use my empathic ability to feel where they have pain and so forth. I've learned how to control my empathy so that I can be present with somebody who's going through a really intense emotional crisis and still not be pulled down into it with them, but still be able to empathize with them. So Hayden says, have you seen The Good Witch, the Hallmark show? What you described is kind of how she uses magic, and the show is good about making it look natural at some times or spontaneous at times. Yeah, I've watched that show and I thought, at last they have a show that's about how it really works. And then it got boring because there wasn't enough action to me. I mean, I have other shows I'm watching right now. We're really into sci-fi, so we're having all kinds of fun with that, especially with all the good programs that are out there. We just finished watching Night Stars or Night Sky or whatever on Amazon, which was kind of interesting. So yeah.
If you're old like us, you remember how rotten science fiction movies used to be.
Oh God.
Oh, they're, especially the made-for-TV ones, were just like bad.
But yeah, I think she's a good example of that. And I've seen actually some foreign programs that were more accurate. There was one from, I think it was from the Netherlands. I can't remember the name of it now, but I talked about it at one point, because it was a much more accurate portrayal of what it's like to start to come into your own and realize your abilities and things like that. And then there was another one that I thought was lovely. I think it's still on Netflix right now. It's a family kind of a thing where they took care of a certain aspect of reality that it was their job or whatever to do. I thought that one was kind of lovely. I really liked that. So he says you should watch Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Is that streaming now?
The first 2 episodes I think have dropped.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was out yet.
Yeah. Do you like Star Wars? Says Mixed Diva. Not as much as we like other, like Star Trek.
Or the new Star Trek is awesome.
And some of the Marvel stuff is more interesting to us.
I always found Star Wars annoying because of the stupid looking characters they had, and I still think that. I'm sorry. I've watched them all now, and I like them better than I used to, but yeah. And then I used to want science fiction that was hard science. It used to be real hard science about it, and if it wasn't hard science, I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I got over that.
Thank goodness.
That was a lack of imagination on my part.
So Mixed Divas, or Deseratum says, howdy, speaking of sci-fi, Star Trek has been great lately. Strange New Worlds and Discovery, I know. And Picard, oh my. The second season was fantastic. The last episode, I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom. I could not move. I had to stay and watch the whole thing because I didn't want to miss a second. So that's good television for me when it really pulls me in. Hayden says, did you like WandaVision? Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of the Scarlet Witch and Agatha? I thought it was pretty cool that at the end it was all Agatha. I'm like, oh, how perfect. They're thinking of making a spinoff just for her character. Mixed Diva says, I just watched the first 2. Oh, Desram says, I'm a big fan of Discovery. Yes, I thought they were the first signs that Star Trek was coming into its own and finally doing some meaty kind of things instead of like everybody's okay and all peace and love and whatnot. Mixed Diva says, I just watched the first 2 Obi-Wan episodes. They are so good. Laugh out loud to the characters. Let's not talk about Jar Jar. Oh God, yes. The most hated character that's ever been created of all time. and made the most fun of. Desert says, yes, Picard, Q died and I cried. I know. It was
they just
awesome.
did a great job with that.
So I don't know if you knew about the Easter egg that they stuck in that second season, but at some point, Q has a card he gives someone with a phone number on it, and the studio knows how crazy fans are, and so they actually had a message from Q on the answering machine. You can call that number, and he'll tell you how it is, how you are not Q, for sure. Which I thought was great. That's one of the things I like about the fan base and stuff like that. And it's like, they're great. So Violet says, I'm watching Picard right now. I watched one over before I see two, so good. I saw Discover recently, so good. Jennifer S. says, hooray, Star Trek fans.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the fact that they try to actually do real science in Star Trek.
It's extrapolated from. I mean, it's
right.
imaginary, but they start with some type of real thing most
and
of the
and
time.
they seriously affected our entire culture because of what they did. I just watched the special on Spock by his son, and that was kind of interesting. I hadn't seen that one. I've seen a few of them, but that was about Leonard Nimoy, of course, and it was quite fascinating to see some of the things that came out during that. And that was like the first thing that happened in the United States, and then around the world, where people got so involved in the characters of the imaginary world or so forth, and tried to emulate some of the cultural attitudes and things that they were portraying on the show. So, yeah. Desiderata says, oh, wait. Mixed Diva says, speaking of science, did you hear the Black Hole song? I haven't listened to it yet. I've seen it come up, but I haven't had time to just sit and listen to it. It sounds like it's going to be kind of interesting. Desideratum says, I've been a fan of Star Trek since I was a baby. We wouldn't have cell phones, and we wouldn't have doors opening for us when we go to the grocery store. They did not have them when the first Star Trek came out.
That was one of the things
that was one of the
specifically
things
got from Star Trek.
That's
was the
right.
Idea for
the
that.
idea.
Yeah.
And I tell you, William Shatner had his face smashed any number of times because the guys on the other side of the door didn't get the door open in enough time for him to walk through.
Because they had to manually pull them open at that time.
There were two guys on the other side pulling those doors apart. And he couldn't pretend that, he was hesitant. Had to just do it every time. And every so often it was smash. Yep. Have to do that again. So, yeah. So Hayden says, are potions real and how do you make them? Yes, potions are real, and you make them in various ways depending on the kind of potion you're making. I mean,
the use for it.
Yeah.
You start out with a use for it, and then look up, figure out what you want to make.
Right. And of course, we don't recommend you give it to someone without their permission. That would be bad. So it's not like love potion number 9 or anything. But people make potions, and a lot of them are healing potions to try and help somebody feel better. And knowing herbalism and stuff like that can assist with that, and then you charge them up as well. And you can charge them up with planetary energies or angelic forces or a god, a goddess kind of energy or whatever, depending on what it is. It's the same as the objects that we make, like dream catchers or, protective talismans and stuff like that. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah, if you know you're going to be dealing with something like Saturn or something, you could look up, like you might want to use some black poppy seeds in it. That's one of the incense aspects for Saturn.
Right.
Part of the...
So you have to know your stuff, and you just throw a few things together and make a potion. It's like, and any recipes you find in the old books are wrong or totally weird. So Violet says Leonard Nimoy's son, was it Prime or Netflix? Netflix. I'm pretty sure it was on Netflix that I watched it. Angela says, I prefer herbal powders that go on my candles. Not sure if they count as potions, but I sure do like how they feel on my candles. Well, those wouldn't technically be potions, because potions is like a liquid that you would take in. I would think that would be a definition of a potion. But dressing your candles with, powders and stuff like that is like to charge them up with that energy. That's certainly one of the ways of incorporating that kind of stuff. Desert Autumn says, yes, the black hole song is audio translation of data, but not a direct recording. It's confusing. Well, that's same with all the planetary songs, the sounds that they make and so forth. They're translating it into a hearable range so that we can listen. But it's not a direct thing. So I'm not sure if there's some kind of fudging with their algorithm or whatever to make it so that it doesn't make us go crazy when we hear it because it doesn't sound right. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it has to be. I'm sure there's some fussing with it to make it human hearable.
So there has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, if the stars were all making those sounds all the time, talk about cacophony, we'd be sitting there going like, make it stop. Yeah. So Angela says, I use them mostly for offering mixes. I also mix up my different flavored teas to get the benefits of, say, lavender and mint. Yep.
Sure.
Eddie says, hello, everyone. Hi, Eddie. Desert Ram says, Iowa has sonification data of Aurora, Saturn, Jupiter from satellites. It's so cool. Yeah. And it is. It's kind of interesting to realize that things are putting out sound waves even if they're not ones that we can hear. And electromagnetic waves and, things like that, they're a part of that. So it's pretty interesting. Desert Autumn says they have to bring it into a sound spectrum we can hear. Yep.
Yeah, I imagine there's some filtering and stuff too, but it's a good representation. It's like the false color thing they use for
Stars.
infrared and stuff, and all the false color things that are mapped to it.
Yeah, the pictures you see from Hubble and so forth like that have to be like the raw data has to be translated into what the wavelengths actually are, and then they have to put the color in so that we can actually see what it would look like if we were looking at them. And there's some amazing pictures that they've gotten that way. Hi, Hayden.
Thank you.
Could you do a video on potions? Well, that's a good thought. We should think about that.
Yeah, we should.
We should do it.
I'm not aware of anything you can just throw and the bottle breaks and they disappear somebody or something, but...
Well, I mean, we make concoctions that aren't
Yeah.
quite potions, like herbal sprays and things like that.
Yeah,
And
we're actually thinking of making some for Siofra. She has leg muscle cramps, so we're thinking of taking some antispasmodics and making a salve with beeswax and olive oil.
yeah, let's see what we come up with that. Violet says, is Aurora Dawn like the counterpart to Nyx of the Night? Yes, kind of like that. But she's the thing that the crack of dawn is like, and twilight. It's kind of like, that's where her realm is. Desert Autumn says there may be some indigenous people in polar regions who can hear Aurora. I can hear them. And not everybody can. It's true. It's a different kind of sound spectrum, and it sounds like static moving. That's the best thing I can say to describe what I hear when I hear the aurora. But I lived up north and I heard them a lot. And when I was hearing them, the scientists didn't believe that people could hear them because they couldn't hear them, and they at that point didn't have any kind of devices to record them and then bring it down so that they could hear what we were hearing. But now they know that indeed they do make a sound, and some people can hear them. So probably, like you say, the Inuit, the people who live up north, have probably more likely ability to hear that, and I just have really good hearing in my family. So Angela says, I think Aurora is the Roman name of one of Nyx's children. In the mythos, one of Nyx's daughters goes out to work as Nyx returns, and the dusk and dawn are where they pause and greet each other before work. Yes, and I just liked the name better than the Greek version, which is Eris, I think, because of the connection with the Aurora Borealis and other things. I like the word. It's like, it goes off my tongue better. So I decided to, and I found a wonderful poem to Aurora. I guess it was to Eris and I changed it to Aurora. But anyway, yeah, she is the goddess of the dawn. Hayden says, I have to go now. Goodbye. Goodbye, Hayden. Thank you for coming and visiting with us.
Thank you for your donation.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Violet says, nice angle. I love that input.
Hayden, that's absolutely fine. We appreciate anything, and it really does help us because we're kind of low income. So
Yeah,
it really is appreciated. That's
yeah,
plenty. That's fine.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great. Thank you.
We appreciate the sentiment, and it's not the amount. Some people have more than others, and that's just fine too.
Yeah.
So Desert Bottom says, Mixed Eve and Violet Star, I wonder if black holes have a spiritual intelligence. Maybe they do have a song? Well, I certainly know that there's intelligences around our own planets and the sun, because I've met them.
Yeah. I've got no input on that one. It never occurred to me.
Well, our star has series levels of intelligence.
Yes, it does.
So if our star does, there's pretty good chance that all stars
Yes.
do.
Well, actually, Barton
And
talks about
since a black hole starts with a star, I would not be surprised.
he talks about extraplanetary entities that are beyond our solar system and how to deal with those if you want to meet up with them or evoke them or something. So
Angela says, I know nothing about black holes except the edge of them is called an event horizon, and I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, they are pretty cool. Every galaxy has one at the center, and it's the black hole. The gravity of the black hole helps to keep the galaxy together. Between that and the dark matter gravity that it creates, keeps the shape of. Yeah, they were kind of surprised. They didn't know that, but every galaxy they've looked at has had a black hole at the center. So it has something to do with galaxy formation and giving it its shape.
interesting.
And the stuff they've learned about dark matter, they've discovered, or dark energy, they've discovered conduits of energy that goes between the galaxies and stuff, where it's thicker there, and the streams, the star formation and stuff follows along these invisible lines that we did not know were there. So there's a lot of actual structure in the universe that they're just now starting to discover, which is okay. Awesome. Mixed Diva says, at Desiderata, black holes are so mysterious. Perhaps they do. I've wondered that as well. Angela says, and that occasionally they've been recorded spitting out matter in beams. Well, actually, they just had one of those. They just had a story about catching it actually in the act. And then, of course, they're responsible for those gamma ray bursts that we really don't want to have happen. Like, no gamma ray bursts in our direction. But yeah, so I like science and I like astronomy. I always have. And it didn't stop me, though, from going to the moon and meeting things that lived on the moon that I knew didn't have bodies. That's why I'm starting to think that they're composed of the dark matter, that there's life forms that are made just of dark matter like we're made of physical matter. And maybe that's actually the spirit realm that we're trying to communicate with. And it's people like us that have the ability or the tools to be able to bridge that gap between the two forms of matter and have some kind of communication happening. It's a working theory anyway.
Yeah, I read a science fiction book, but it's been so long ago I don't remember what it was, but it was based on that premise that the person actually had a negative being. Basically called him a neg. Something. So it was like a counterpart, but an evil counterpart.
Anti.
They kept trying to stop him from doing everything he was doing. So
Star Trek had one of those with like the anti-Kirk, not just from the other universe, but they had like the negative, like made out of antimatter kind of Kirk in one of those episodes. They can't get together. So Angela says, and that occasionally they've been recorded spitting out matter in beams. I wonder if the fact it spits things back means it has a bottom somewhere. Well, they think the reason for that is because it just can't consume things as quickly as things try to fall in, and so then they spill out. So Mixed Diva says, I love that theory, Siofra. Definitely resonated. Eddie Adams says, I love when science aligns with magic. It always makes for interesting conversation. I wish there were more videos on magical correlations to science on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. The Hindu theory of, I refer to Kashmir Shaivism specifically, but the theory about how the universe developed from spanda, the vibration and all that, it sounds if you learn what they really thought, it sounds very similar to science, to the actual what scientists think.
Yeah, and then Barton's descriptions of how the elements came into being and what order they came in also aligns really well with the beginning, what science knows about the beginning of the universe, because according to Barton, fire was the first element, and so that would be the stars. And in the beginning, there were no heavy elements of any other kind, so there were only stars, and then they would collapse and reform and make more elements and so forth like that, so it makes sense. So Shay says, hi, Siofra. Hi, Shay. Angela says, alchemy, where science and magic hug it out and be friends.
Yeah, I played with plant alchemy for a while until I about burned our house down, and then I stopped.
Oh yeah.
Just
Was that when you almost with the microwave?
Microwave, yeah.
Caught the microwave on fire. Yeah, that was not a good experiment. I mean, it was a good experiment, but it did not work well.
Yeah, no, it's what I get for using antique equipment.
And he says, I'm interested in starting my own witchcraft YouTube channel. Perhaps I'll make some videos about it. Maybe you will. And he laughs at Angela says.
Yeah, it's pretty
Angela says, what
simple to
plants
start.
were you playing with that were flammable to that
It
degree?
wasn't the plants. I was using a little gas propane stove, and I had it sitting on top of our stove because it could vent out through the vent in the microwave. Vent out, so it was a really old stove, and it suddenly popped a leak, and the fuel ran all down inside it, and then it caught on fire and went whoof.
It went poof, and then poof, and then the microwave was above it.
Don't use really, really old gas stoves for that. It was just a little portable camping one, but yeah.
Yeah, we needed a new stove after that too. So I guess it was better it happened in our house where there was a fire extinguisher.
I don't know. I tell you, that was hard to. I had to keep running out and running back in the house to spray it and run back out because
Couldn't breathe.
The breathing of the plastic burning was just horrible. Yeah, well, that's our fun life of magic.
Yes, the things you have to watch out for. So Violet says, instead of laminating today, I was cutting out stars and adding black Sharpie edges. Then later on, I laminate them and stick them to all kinds of lovely things. It is really fun. Yes, cool. It's always good to have fun.
Fun is good.
I like crafts. And McSteve says, laugh out loud, whoops. Yep. Angela says, that sounds like one of those Wile E. Coyote moments, but for real. Glad you were okay, Ian.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yes, that was definitely...
I have a few of them in my past.
Well, him and Coyote have a relationship. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And apparently that's one of the ways it can manifest. Jacqueline says, yeah, I tried a distiller, kept boiling over, was a mess. Oh. Yeah, and you have to watch out for, like, pressure cookers, too. My mother exploded an entire pressure cooker full of spaghetti sauce. Thank goodness no one was in the kitchen when it happened, but trying to get spaghetti sauce off the ceiling and the walls, it was quite a mess. So, and Mixtiva says, wow, I'm glad you were both okay. I wasn't home. I got to come home to, we need to go shopping and get a new microwave. I'm like, what? What happened to the old one?
It was one of these mounted under the counter ones. And
God, that thing was so heavy.
Well, it was ancient.
It's an old one. Yeah, that thing weighed about
I think it was made like
50 pounds or something.
1988 or something.
It had been working until he caught it on fire, but you know, sometimes things have to be upgraded. So that's what was that. And Jacqueline says, oh my God, repaint time. Yeah, I don't think she was allowed to repaint the kitchen that time, but when she caught the house on fire, then she got to repaint the entire kitchen and do the cabinets and things like that. I've had my relationships to fire in my past, so I was really glad I wasn't home for that. McSteva says pressure cookers are actually very dangerous. Yeah, if anything gets stuck in it, stops working there, it makes me nervous. Angela said it decided it would end its life with spontaneous combustion. Yes.
Yep.
It served us well up until the moment it decided to stop and it stopped working. God. You never know for sure when that's going to happen.
Well, I shouldn't have been using a little gas stove that was that old. I mean, it was.
Mm.
I didn't expect the pipe was just going to get a hole in it and leak.
Yep, rust. That stuff is powerful stuff. Eddie says, any tips on learning astrology? Well, we don't know much about astrology. We've just picked up some astrology here and there, so no tips from us.
Yeah,
I bought a book called All You Ever Need to Know About Astrology, but then I couldn't read it, so
I'm bad at math.
Math and me,
Yeah.
not happening.
I passed calculus, but just barely with a lot of effort when I did that. Like, ridiculous amount of effort. Ridiculous amount of time spent on it. Yeah, so I don't like astrology because it's too mathematical for me. I'm just not good at it.
And we know some basic things. Like this Mercury retrograde has been interesting for bringing things back that someone has dropped in the past, and all of a sudden this communication comes through that you haven't heard from somebody since like November of last year. You suddenly get a call about it. Angela says, astrology gives me little white hairs. I love stars, but I get the zodiac all confused. Yep. And really, I don't want knowing too much about them to stop me from just following my instincts and my intuition and doing something that I know is the right thing to do. I pay modicum amount of attention to astrology, but they're completely wrong about my sign. I've never really seen very much of an accurate take on Capricorns. They completely misunderstand the sign, and on Saturn.
They go with the Saturn and completely
and that's the thing.
that, yeah.
Some people are terrified of Saturn, and I'm like, why? It's about giving you boundaries and about
Justice.
limiting things so that they don't get out of control, and about giving you what you deserve. So my theory is that people who are afraid of Saturn figure that what they deserve is not nice. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I think a lot of people have that at their core, from upbringing or what have you. I know I did when I was younger, till I got rid of that.
So Mixed Diva says, Eddie, depends on what kind of astrology you are interested in. And Eddie says, I'm new to astrology, so I didn't know there were different types other than from different cultures. And Mixed Diva says, Siofra, what about your Vedic sign? Do you relate to any of that? No clue. I have no idea what my Vedic sign might be. Someone else will have to figure that out. Angela says, I do plan to get an astrology-themed oracle deck or tarot deck to work with. It that way. I do well with my cards when I self-read. Yeah, so maybe there's an opportunity there. And he says, I found the rising sign is more accurate to me than the sun sign. Well, yeah, that's true. My rising sign is Gemini, and I definitely fit that. Being a talker, storyteller,
Of course, I'm a Virgo, and that's governed by Mercury.
But do you know what your rising sign is? I think we looked it up once. We figured it out. But I don't remember now, so I have no idea. Mixed Diva says that, Eddie, I see Western astrology is a good place to start generally. And, Chinese astrology is completely different. And then the tree system from the Celtic version of things. So they have their own version of astrology, depending on when you were born, what tree is important to you. And like with the Chinese, it's like each year has got a different animal energy attached to your birth and has certain attributes that might, impact your life and so forth. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways. Angela said, I wasn't sure if I even had a sun since I was born at night. You always have a sun sign. It turns out I do. I'm Cancer, Sun, Capricorn, Capricorn Moon. Cancer, Sun, Capricorn Moon. I'm a Capricorn Moon too. I'm both Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Moon. So, and Desiratum says, speaking of laminating, could anyone give me advice on laminating pressed plants and flowers? Are there any natural laminating pouches? I don't know an answer to that, so maybe Violet can answer that since she's our laminating expert. Mixed Diva says, my Western sun is Cancer and my Vedic is Gemini. I personally relate more to my Vedic readings. Well, and in reality, there's a lot of different kinds of personalities out there. There's, it's just a very general overview, kind of an outline of a possible personality that you mostly get from astrology. Angela says, and I know my Chinese zodiac is the serpent, which is funny because I always adored the snake, even after being told they were the devil's pet. Oh my, yes. Don't need that.
Yeah, I think everybody gets some of that as a child in general.
Well, I can
Most
tell you,
households,
people will
yeah.
freak out if you open the door and you have a snake on your arm. Apparently, it doesn't go over well, but it really makes it easier to get rid of.
People you don't want.
Telemarketers at your door. What do you call them when they when they knock on your door? They're not telemarketers anymore. Eddie says my mom is the snake on the Chinese zodiac, which is hilarious because it's totally her shadow animal. She's terrified of them, but has so much snake energy. Mixed Eva says, "Oh yeah, your personality is different than what you find in astrology, in my opinion." Thank you. Desert says, "Laugh out loud. I'm Cap Sun and Gemini rising too." Aha, but Aquarius. Okay. Aquarius something? Aquarius moon. I think that's what that is. Angela says, "I call them special door-to-door citizens."
Good one. I like that.
I like that one. When my mom was a young woman, it was like, that was all there was the door-to-door salesman. And she could not say no to anyone. She had no boundaries whatsoever. So if anyone came to her door, she had to buy something from them, and they knew it. They spread the word. Jacqueline says, "Move over, Satan. Let me pick up that snake." God.
Of course, there were some pretty outrageous Christian cults with the snakes.
Oh, with the rattlesnakes,
Yeah.
the vipers and stuff like that,
Yes.
and being bit by them, and then they found out some of them were faking it, so they were like, milking the snake before the ceremonies and stuff like that, so they got bit, they wouldn't die, and they had like anti-venom on hand just in case and so forth. But yeah, people see you doing something outrageous and dangerous, and you say, "I'm being protected by my God," and you go like, "Wow, okay, that's pretty awesome. Maybe I can get some of that." It's a good selling point. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to bring up that stuff.
Well, hey. Eddie says, "Laugh out loud." Violet says, "I do not know of natural pouches, and pressed flowers is an old school thing in between newspaper pages in an old book. Grandma used to do it. I use 5 millimeter laminating pouches, pushes only, all else wrinkles." Angela says, "Snakes like me too through. It's funny. My teacher kept snakes, and even the most anxious snake would settle down with me."
Well, that's
Cool. Nice to be a calming influence for a snake. Phoenix Claw says, "Hello, everyone." Hello, Phoenix Claw.
Welcome.
Welcome. We've got about 10 minutes left in our show. So if you have any questions, now's the time. But yeah, I had a past memory actually where this woman, they used a snake, a boa constrictor, as a a way to tell if you were telling the truth, as a lie detector, I guess. And the boa would be wrapped around your body, and then they would ask you questions. And if you lied, then the snake smelled it and then tightened around you. I have no idea for sure what culture that was, but it was a very vivid memory that I had of that. I'd forgotten about that one because it's not like it comes up that often. Violet says, "Snake goddess Angela." Angela says, "Hi, Phoenix Claw. I like your name." Phoenix Claw says, "Any sun or moon influences lately?" And thanks, Angela. Well, it's a new moon right now, so.
Eddie asked about our pillars.
I love the blue pillars behind you. What are they made of? PVC pipe, and I painted them to make them look like lapis columns because I thought that would look way cool. And it worked really well.
And then we light the tops and get a flame out from the top.
Fire comes out of the top. Mixed Eva says, "Wow, so interesting." Angela says, "One time an orb weaver spider left a tree to sit in my hair. My college at work told me she was social distancing from me until the spider was out of my hair." "I walked around with my tickly little friend for about half an hour before putting her back in the tree." Oh, God. Yeah, that's another thing that freaks a lot of people out is spiders. Even though they're such a good insect, and, most of them aren't running around trying to kill people unless, of course, you live in Australia and then they chase you down.
Why don't I light one of those to show people? Just for a minute.
No.
No?
I don't want them lit. Not right
It's
now.
just going to be for a
No,
little bit of alcohol.
no,
Okay.
let's not light
Fine.
them. No lighting.
Okay.
I don't want the curtains to light on fire. We'd have to plan for that. So Eddie says, wow, I thought they were soda light or lapis. Great job. Thank you. And Angela says, Ian is probably not allowed to light them after the microwave incident. Well, that did come up today, so
could be a factor. Yeah.
could be a good point. I'm like, no lighting, not right now. Mixed Diva says, I think sometimes bugs use us, our cars, as taxis. Well, hopefully, if they know where they're going. But, I think we're more like a quest, like a spirit quest or a walkabout or whatever, because they have no idea where they're going to end up. So maybe this is their vision quest thing. It's like the tribe says, you must go out and find a weird family that will take you in and let them drive you to some strange place that you don't know where you are.
What are the spiders trying to accomplish by crawling on our camera lenses all the time?
Oh, the ones around our house. Yeah, we get some pretty good pictures. We thought that we could post some of those pictures and say that they were fairies. Well, actually, not the spider so much as like the mayfly.
Yeah.
The mayfly flies by and it's got this very interesting shape to it. It's all lit up by the infrared light.
It gets real close to the camera,
It
so
was like,
it looks like it's gigantic.
Yes. Angela says, ladybugs cling to you if they like you. Phoenix Claw says, spider on my bed when I wake up. I have a rule about that. It's like, not on my bed. Angela says, they cling to each other in a hug to nest in the winter, the ladybugs. So if they cling to you, they like you and are treating you like another ladybug. Aw, that's so sweet.
That's cool. Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah. That's awesome.
Ladybugs are fun. You don't want to eat one. I had one fly onto a blackberry as I was eating the blackberry, and I crunched it, and it was the most horrible taste. I can't describe to you how horrible that was. And I knew it. I saw it do it. It flew in right as I was crunching down.
And too late, cannot stop my mouth.
Yep.
Desert Rom says, thank you, Violet. I've got 3 millimeters, so I will try to get some 5 millimeters to dry. Mixed Diva says, or the ladybugs are using you as a toilet. But they love you. Angela says, they're red because they contain a bitter poison to keep birds from eating them. So birds don't like to eat them either. Yes. Thank you, Angela. I figured it was something like that. Mixed Diva says, I accidentally ate a ladybug once. It was disgusting. Yep. Yeah. And Angela says, while not lethal, it is awful. And we now have testimony to prove it.
And I still remember that pretty vividly, and that happened before I was a teenager.
Yeah, before I ever met you.
Yeah, no, I was like 13 or 14 years old when that happened, but I still remember it vividly.
When I was a 10, I think, 10 or 11. I guess I was 11 because my baby sister was movable, more than an infant. And so it was probably the year after she was born. We went to Arizona, and on our way we stopped in Texas, and my father told my brother to shut his mouth or a fly would get in his mouth. And as he said that, a fly flew straight into his mouth as he closed his mouth. And then he opened his mouth and it flew back out. And he looked at my father like, my God, how did he know that? He must be a god.
Pretty funny. Yep.
Jacqueline says, little spiders come running over to see what I'm doing when I work on the tea house. They're curious. Angela says, ladybugs are symbolic of good luck. Does that mean you swallow some good luck?
Probably so.
Maybe so.
I think I spit it out because it tasted so awful, though, but yeah.
I think I accidentally ate a wasp once that died in a drink at a picnic. But I felt it and spit it out before I got too much of it in. And then I saw...
I bit right down on that little... Yeah. I'm pretty sure I spit it all out because it hit immediately.
Can you imagine the poor ladybug, just flying around, minding its own business, and then all of a sudden it lands on this berry, and then it dies instantly, and this big, huge, giant mouth comes along and crushes it. It's like, talk about giving it bad karma dreams, something like that. Mixed Diva says, yuck! Desiree says, I'd love to learn more about outside our solar system intelligence, spirits, and elementals. Well, I don't really know any, so.
And I would love
And
to
it's
too.
kind of a dangerous thing to do unless you're extremely grounded.
Well, Barton just mentions that he doesn't say anything about them in particular, but he states that if at that point in his book, if you want to, you can go visit them, see what you can find. Apparently, they're not. Most of them aren't so relevant. If they aren't from our solar system, they aren't so relevant to
What we're
being
doing.
able to help us and things. Yeah.
And probably not so interested
Yeah.
in assisting us because they have other things to take care of. So Violet says 3 mil is not so bad. I think I laminate so much that I got frustrated with the machine when it wrinkled. So 5 mil never wrinkles. It is more expensive, and I just love it. But 3 mil is great, really. So I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. Are you coming up with like an herb book for the flowers that you're trying to smash and keep for reference material?
I had wondered once if there's a material I could pour in a flower and that would come out and sort of plasticize it from the inside.
There is.
And
Because we've seen them. There was a person running through town who actually had tiny, small roses that they did that with, and they made necklaces and earrings out of actual roses, like tea roses and things.
well, you could do that with an epoxy, but I mean something that you'd put in the rose when it was growing, and it would or put a leaf in to soak it and have to suck it up.
I think
and
what they do
solidify.
is they have it come up through the stem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think that's exactly what they do.
I should investigate that.
So Violet uses glue dots, and Angela says resin, A and B ice resin.
Yep.
So yeah. All right, so we got about 4 minutes left. Any last minute questions? I love book pressing flowers. I use wax paper. Yeah, I think that's an old school method, and I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
And flowers can be wonderful. Some of them don't keep their colors as well as others, so I guess it just depends upon the specific or not wax paper, a different kind. Yeah. Oh, nice.
If you set them in resin, they're not going to lose their color, though.
Well, that's true. If you set them in resin, they're not going to lose their color.
Well, maybe if it was out in the sun for a long time or something, maybe.
Yeah. So Desiree says, learn but not interact with black hole entities. So powerful. Whoa. Yeah, you might get sucked in and never come back out, right? And get into a different universe and not know where you are. Violet says, that is a wonderful old plant I forgot. Wax paper. Roses dry beautifully and can last a century, I hear. Yeah, that's kind of awesome. When I dried my rose petals and stuff like that to put them in tiny little jars to use with my wands. And like I got those little bitty, I think they were from the dollar store or from Walmart or something, and you got 5 jars for not much. And then just dried different colors of petals in there, and I have some blue hydrangea and another one. What did they do with the tea roses? I make jewelry.
Well,
They plasticized them and made earrings out of them.
Did scroll up about 3.
Yeah, old cool, roses dry beautifully. Any magic plans for this week? No, not really. Do we have any? Oh yeah, well I'm going to cut the rhododendron.
Well, yeah.
And I'm going to probably dry the wood and make wands out of it.
Probably going to start.
So that would be a magical thing I'm doing because it's the new moon.
I'm probably going to start trying to prepare another evocation just so we can get a few of them in since we're all set up to do them right now.
And I'm working on our robes, which is a magical project for sure.
Be a lot faster to do it now that we're all set up for Mercury. I don't have to change the incense or anything. We can just whip it out, throw the circle on the floor, and have at it.
Sounds lovely. Oh look, little magic wand. Little stars coming around it. That's pretty cute.
Cute. Yeah.
Violet says, evocation, oh goody. Yeah, I was pretty tickled that he got to see the being that I saw, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I guess.
We're pretty sure at this point what it is that he is doing so much of the focus concentration.
Put so much energy
out. And that sort of blocks
I'm so
intuitive,
projective, it blocks
right,
the receptive
the receptive abilities, and then I do the the thing.
Well, I just need to work on my clairvoyance more.
So Angela says, "Can I see the main statue behind you on the altar?"
That be this one probably. Again.
No.
No, that's not the
We
main.
actually-
the dragon.
We have a
Maybe?
dragon here, but he's not really our main statue. There's him. One of our friends really wanted us to have a dragon, so I picked this up at like Ross's and painted it to have a dragon.
And I think he's a great dragon. I like the red and gold.
Yeah. Well, he's in the fire, so. But the Garuda is over here, so he hangs out on this. So he's like one of our main protectors. And when I got him, I did not know what he was for. Oh.
She said the mask.
Ah.
Probably that one.
This mask?
Very pretty.
This one I picked this mask up at Goodwill, I think. And yeah. So you can see she's get a little closer so you can see some of the deep details. I just really liked the way she was made, and the points and everything look like flames to me. So I thought she made a good sort of fire thing.
Also, wants to see Garuda too.
Again, I just showed Garuda.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yes.
Maybe I'm behind.
Maybe he's behind. There's Garuda again. There's Garuda again. Yes, it does sort of have Aurora vibes. And of course, then there was this guy who's like our Thor mask, who sits above the over top of the fan, and that fan has got a dragon on it. So we definitely have a dragon theme going on here. We'll have to put everybody back when we're done. But yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right, so we're at our hour and a half kind of mark here. So if you have any other suggestions of things you want to see us do, you can send me an email at chiefersmagicalcove@gmail.com, and I try to get to them and everything. So Mixed Diva says thank you as always for the lovely conversation and chat. Have a lovely week and be well. Yes, here's hoping I don't have COVID. So all right, guys, thank you very much for entertaining us and asking us questions that we can talk about. You need no soliciting guarded by dragon signs. Well, we do have a no soliciting sign, but some people don't know apparently how to read. So, that's kind of weird. So I have to get rid of this in order to be able to stop.
Yeah, I actually made a big sign and did it on a router. So we've got a big no